Hi, I'm Steve Oren, a 78. Probably my key memory that night was actually joining the parade. I was a very strong fan of a club called Patches back then, and one of the show people there was Trixie Lamond, and I remember Trixie dragging us literally down the stairs at Patches to join the street parade outside, and everybody screaming out of the bars and into the streets. And we all joined in, had a really great time going down the last bit of Oxford Street. It wasn't until we got to College Street that things started to go a bit haywire, and I saw that the police dragged Lance Garland out of the truck, and there was an issue about the sound system in the truck. And later on I remember Jeff Stanton and Jeff McCarthy calling out onto the cross and giving their reasons about the solidarity in the cross and the reasons for going on. And then we all joined in heading up the cross. So as one 78er says, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, because of course we had no idea what was going to happen in the cross, and that's where it got really scary.
Hi, I'm Robyn Kennedy and I'm a 78er. Okay, I guess my memory of that night, and also the events that just followed immedately after that night, was just the overwhelming presence of police. On the night itself, there was huge numbers of police who had removed their name badges so that they could basically be anonymous while they attacked people there at the event and threw them into paddy wagons and took them off to jail. That image will really stay with me because it's connected up with the images that also followed. So the next day we had a vigil outside Darlinghurst Court, and then we had other vigils. We had one on the Monday outside Liverpool Street, and we had some other events. Now the memories have faded over time, but the one thing I really remember is the overwhelming presence of police at every one of those events, and how intimidating that was. And I guess that's what it was intended to be, intimidating, and it certainly was. So that's something I probably will never forget.
Okay, hi, I'm Peter Murphy. I'm a 78er. There's so many memories actually, but I'd like to think about being in King's Cross with two friends, one on each arm, and not doing good here. You have to cut this, right? So, and the police attacked the group of us who were all peaceful and quiet at the time. And they're very good friends of mine, Chips and Michelle, and we all ran to the front to get people away from the police, and I was arrested and rather quickly, but the memory is of people resisting the police all over Darlinghurst Road in King's Cross.
Hi, my name's Kate Rowe and I'm a 78er. So my most vivid memory of that night is when all of the women were arrested. We were put in one cell, 24 of us with one toilet, one screaming, a straight woman banging on the door, begging to be taken out because she was not one of us, and they let her go. And because we were all together, we could hear the crowd outside chanting. It was just amazing energy to hear that, and we supported each other, and we all sang songs of the day, and we got through that night because we came together. And that for me was very much my political awakening, seeing the strength of people coming together in a common purpose.
Hi, I'm Diane Minnis and I'm a 78er. I'd like to talk about a couple of things, the first Mardi Gras and a little bit of the events leading up to it. We had a meeting at what was the Gay Solidarity Group a little while before that, and that was a bit of an amalgam of different groups across the gay and lesbian activists at that stage. And some people from Camp Inc. came along and suggested a nighttime event, a fun event for our community, in addition to the planned daytime demonstration, which we did on the anniversary of Stonewall each year. And there was a fair bit of debate about it, but we supported that, and we all went forward with it as a coalition. And on the night I went along, and I had my leg in a walking plaster. I was due to have it off fairly soon afterwards, so I was pretty adept at it by that stage. Young and silly, riding a motorbike, all that sort of thing. I was marching down, we were just strolling down Oxford Street. I was with my household, and I met a friend down at the end. And then things started going pear-shaped when the police stopped the truck and stopped the march, essentially, which had a permit still at that stage. Then there was a cry up to the cross, and it was electric. I mean, we'd been in so many demonstrations by that stage that we just linked arms and marched up William Street. But it was then when it got very ugly and very nasty and very brutal, in fact, because the police, we'd walked over towards the fountain at the end of Darlinghurst Road, and we were starting to disperse, and the police blockaded us in that area. Now, my friend had me with my leg in a walking plaster, and another friend who was in a frock, a guy in a frock, and she had us in a doorway, a shop doorway, and kept us out of the fray, which was great, was wonderful, but it also meant I had a very good view of the brutality of it. And it was shocking, and that stayed with me for many years, just the brutality of it. People were thrown bodily into paddy wagons and had the door closed on their legs. People were grabbed back by people in the crowd. Some of the people in the cross, the normal residents of the cross, joined in and fought back against the police. And I lived nearby, so there were faces I vaguely recognised that weren't in our Mardi Gras, but they were, they were there. So, and because the Darlinghurst police were notoriously corrupt. So, anyway, what happened afterwards was a huge upsurge in activism. Big public meetings, and we had 80 people at meetings at 33 Agley Point Road every week, planning a big campaign which had subsequent demonstrations in June and August, and other actions outside the courts, and the civil liberties lawyers represented us all pro bono. I wasn't arrested, but I was certainly a witness to some people being arrested, and was able to go and testify in court. So it was a huge campaign, and we were successful in dropping the charges for all but one person.
Good day, Clyde Shoebridge, and I'm a 78er. My key memory is the protest which was on the corner of College Street and Oxford Street, Liverpool Street intersection, when they assembled there and then decided to go to King's Cross. I didn't go on the unauthorised because I had other things to do. I think I was actually going to the Paris cinema that was on that corner at that time. And when I came out from the cinema, going back up Oxford Street past the Darlinghurst police station, seeing everybody being arrested, that was my first memory.
Hello, I'm Meredith and I'm a 78er. I've got a couple of key memories. I think the first one was when we gathered in Taylor Square to walk down to Hyde Park, was the sheer number of people, and even more than that, the passion and exuberance of over 1,000, what I would think was over about 1,000 people. And this was my community, and I was included, and I'd only just turned 17 the month before. So it was really, and I'd left home because of my sexuality. So for me, this is where I was fully included, where I was empowered to be who I was and who I was becoming as a lesbian. Just the other memory that I have was that when we arrived in College Street, there was a large menacing police presence, and I found that quite intimidating. The couple of friends that I was with who were much older than me, two guys from Acceptance, I'd actually lost track of them. And so I felt quite intimidated. And at that point, even though I knew that the crowd was going to King's Cross, I decided to call it a night and go home.
My name is Ross Duffin and I'm a 78er. Okay, well, when the actual initial Mardi Gras happened, I was in Melbourne, which is where I lived at the time as a young gay man, and I remember getting phone calls from two friends who'd been arrested the night before. I saw it on the news and I was incredibly angry, and we decided to organise a response demonstration in Melbourne about the arrests in Sydney, thinking we'd get the usual 100 to 200 people. So we went around all the bars and put out flyers saying we're going to have a demonstration in Bourke Street Mall at about 6 o'clock on a weeknight, the week after Mardi Gras. And we completely filled Bourke Street Mall. So there were a few thousand people, not a few hundred. And we were live on the Channel 6 News. So there was something extraordinary going on to get a demonstration of that size. My second vivid memory of 1978, which is how I became a 78er, was going to the 4th National Lesbian Gay Conference. And on the Sunday morning of that conference, the conference decided to have a small demonstration in Hyde Park, a counter demonstration to an anti-abortion or Fred Nile rally. And we'd heard on the quiet that all police leave for that day had been cancelled, so we knew they were intending to disrupt us. So we decided that we would just walk down the footpath, and if we got stopped by the police, we would just disperse, because we didn't really want to interrupt the conference and get arrested. Anyway, so we walked down Oxford Street, we got to Taylor Square, and there were about 4,000 police at Taylor Square. So for every person in the demonstration, there was about 6 police. The head of the Vice Squad Shepherd got on the blower and said, this is an illegal demonstration, you will be arrested unless you're dispersed, and as agreed, everyone started dispersed. He immediately started yelling, arrest these people now, arrest these people now, and all the police just stood there because they couldn't believe people were dispersing, and they couldn't believe they were being told to arrest, but he screamed at them to go arrest, so they started charging, and everyone ran for cover. It was an extraordinary moment. And 110 people got arrested. I hid in the church. Other people hid in chemists and restaurants, and it was just extraordinary. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Robert French, and I'm a 78er. I've been a member of gay community organisations since 1971, but it's only from the time of the first Mardi Gras that I saw myself and labelled myself as an activist. On the Sunday morning after the melee in King's Cross, I woke in Canberra to the news of a police riot against the gay community parade in Sydney. I was angry, and then when the Premier of New South Wales, who was also the police minister, came in to try and justify police actions, I got angrier still. I came to Sydney 2 weeks later for the demonstration outside of Darlinghurst Police Station, and I was shocked by the police actions on that particular day. They were coming out in a phalanx from Darlinghurst Police Station with its history of corruption and control on Oxford Street. They were coming out, the one house of ill repute on Oxford Street. They were coming out of the police station. They were targeting individuals and grabbing them and taking them into the police station, particularly women. Now, sure, there was some provocation, there was the odd flower bomb was thrown, but it seemed to me always throughout the activities of 1978 that the police actions in relation to the so-called offence was totally and utterly out of proportion. Mardi Gras was a police riot.
Well, I'd like to see Mardi Gras continue. I mean, some people are now saying, does Mardi Gras still have any relevance? We've got same-sex marriage now, we've got lots more rights than we used to have. Should we still be having a big parade and party? Should we be spending money on something else? Well, I think we should still be having a big parade and party, because I think visibility continues to be important regardless of the gains we've made. I think it's particularly important for young people in rural and regional communities who are hiding their sexuality because they have no role models. There isn't visibility. I think it's really important that we maintain that visibility. But going forward, I would also like to see a broadening of focus to international issues in terms of human rights affecting our community, and the issues of refugees coming into our country on escaping persecution because of their sexuality. So I'd like Mardi Gras to start to embrace some of those issues more broadly as well.
I think Mardi Gras has managed to get itself under a good financial footing and an event footing, and that's been important for it to be able to continue. I think it gives a really important message to the community even today. That was evident in the Yes campaign for marriage equality. But I'd like to see Mardi Gras return to a grassroots link and to have strong communications with the community and to be very collaborative and understanding and tolerant of the needs in our community.
Well, Mardi Gras is going to continue to be a champion for liberation, for equality, for including everybody. So we've had some very big victories that people really feel now, but there are many more battles to fight. And I know that, for instance, Aboriginal people have looked at what happened with marriage equality last year, and they are really boosted. They're really thinking we can do it. So I think Mardi Gras should be a champion for everyone.
Well, my hopes for the future, I'm 66 now, and Mardi Gras has changed over the years, and it will change because 2018 is a very different world to 1978. But I do hope that the community aspect of Mardi Gras continues. I think it's really, really important, and that we still strive for the change post-marriage equality. There are still things for us to do. But I just love the way that it grows, and I really love the fact that young people are getting more and more involved in carrying the torch, so to speak, because we started it, we need to let go, and the younger people need to come through and carry it forward.
Well, look, Mardi Gras, even though it's 40 years on, and we have marriage equality, which wasn't even a dream at that stage, we have a lot of legal protections that have been passed through the Commonwealth and state legislations, but it's still a beacon for young gay, lesbian, transgender people everywhere, queer people everywhere. And there are people in outer suburbs, in regional and rural areas of Australia and overseas that Mardi Gras is a beacon for. And it's the Mardi Gras festival, but above all, it's the Mardi Gras parade that is that beacon. And that's why it must continue to be visible, must continue with that campy political humour that was apparent even in the early days. And we have to be out there and out and proud.
Well, I hope it won't be commercialised and taken over by vested commercial interests, just trying to sell products. It's my main interest. And it will continue in Sydney.
My hopes for the future, of course, it's a very different world today than what it was in the 70s. And of course, recently with the popular vote for marriage equality and so many other laws that have been in the favour of LGBTIQ people, there's so much more acceptance now, and Mardi Gras has become far more mainstream, so that all sort of sexualities and demographics take part. There's a sadness about that in a way because we've lost the edginess of that, but it's evolved as society has evolved, and homophobia is becoming a lot less now, and of course will continue to do so over the next generation or so, because younger people are saying from all walks of life that they don't get what the fuss is anymore. And so I hope that Mardi Gras will continue to go from strength to strength, but also I'm hoping that we won't forget the place where we came from, and the people who were the forerunners of what has become a great celebration today, particularly those activists. I'm thinking of the 53 who were arrested and put their lives and livelihoods on the line, but the other activists who were there that night and in subsequent parades, and what we were actually able to achieve so that younger people can enjoy a lot more acceptance and freedom and equality today.
Okay, well, a couple of things. One is I hope it continues to exist, and I hope that it continues to emphasise gay, lesbian, queer, trans, bisexual issues. Look, I think if I look at, the past 40 years of Mardi Gras, the initial years were about the protest. Then HIV/AIDS took over, but really what Mardi Gras was about in the parade was celebrating difference. And difference is a very easy thing to do visually and to construct outrageous floats around. But for the last 20 years, it's been about equality. And so we're the same, but we're just a bit different. And visually, that's not very exciting. So it doesn't make for a really great parade. And I think one of the exciting things about this year is that it's bringing up a lot of history that has a lot of visual excitedness, and there's a whole lot of people coming back, people like me for the last hurrah of Mardi Gras and all that. I guess what I hope is that, I have a young relative, and 2 years ago I took him to Fair Day, and as a young gay man, we've lost our commercial spaces by and large. You never get big gatherings of gay men, and I remember him walking into the Fair Day and his eyes going bright because he saw thousands and thousands of queer people. And he said, why isn't one of these every month? And I thought, that's why this stuff is really important. The public, a public celebration of queerness, if you like. And I think that's really important. And the other thing is, imagine if we had an environment like in the United States at the moment where Trump was president. Imagine if, it's horrible to think, but imagine if a similar sort of environment, political change could happen there. Well, then the idea of Mardi Gras is going back to a form of protest, Having that possibility always there is a really good thing. So, my hopes is that it continues to exist and thrive, but that it finds a new way to do something more interesting than the last 10 or 15 years.
It seems to me that Mardi Gras itself is in a bit of a crossroads. It can't quite work out whether it's a gay community organisation, LGBTIQ organisation, whether it's commemorating an historic fact, that some people see it as, and nothing more than that, whether it's a gay community contribution to the City of Sydney, whether itself is just a corporatised organisation that puts on this parade for the Sydney siders and others, or whether in fact it's an arm of the New South Wales Tourist Bureau. I don't think it can make up its mind, and that's one of the problems. What is it actually that we are about when we actually put on and participate in this parade?
Anyway, there's lots of fantastic events on this year, particularly those produced by the 78ers, so make sure you get to those. And I'd like to wish everybody a very happy Mardi Gras.
So I wish everybody a happy Mardi Gras. It's a really great occasion to get together and to celebrate who we are and get the message out there that our community is important as a member of the broader community. So happy Mardi Gras.
Happy 40th anniversary for Mardi Gras.
And happy Mardi Gras. Is that all right?
Happy Mardi Gras.
Oh yes, happy Mardi Gras. Enjoy yourselves.
I hope you all have a fantastic Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras to everyone, and be naughty. Thank you.
And of course, happy Fair Day and happy Mardi Gras.